else here at this church know the way that I typically prepare to do service on Sunday is that I work many, many hours to get the sermon just exactly right, and typically try to have it done by Saturday night. And then wake up at about 5 or 5:15 on Sunday morning for the whole damn thing away. And then my obsessive panic start all over again. But this week, because we were doing the spring annual meeting of the SWOOC conference, and I'm proud to serve on that board, and we had a full lineup of stuff, including board meetings and a new four-dimensional thing on the internet where we were actually all four districts of the southern region listening to our own Jim Key talk to us from Massachusetts. It's this whole new thing that's just brilliant and fun. And at some point, someone said on one of the screens, I think it might have been Carlton or somebody, Ken Berto, said something about if you want to follow along and tweet, do hashtag blah, blah, blah. And I turned to Dave Nielsen from the Hot Springs Village Church in Arkansas, someone that is of my generation. I said, oh, my brother, we are in a new world. He said, yes, we are. Hashtag something. Okay, fine. So hang on. It's something new is coming. But because all that was going on, and I was doing the closing worship there last night before the Holly Deer concert, I wanted to make sure that I had this just exactly right, and I wouldn't have to wake up at 5:15 this morning and obsess about the sermon. So I woke up at about 5, but I avoided anything except taking coffee and grabbing the editorial page of the Dallas Morning Stews. And I went out with my pup, and I read the paper a little bit, and I took him for a walk and came back. Everything was going great. I got into the shower and dressed. I'm in the car. I got plenty of time. And I head to Fort Worth. And boy, I'll tell you, best laid plans of mice and men. I get a hailstorm just as soon as I get on Interstate 30. So as I'm circling down off of the feed into the highway, I crawl over underneath the overpass to save my moderately new car. I could hear the strength of the hail hitting my car. And I'm going, this might not be so good. So I sat there for a couple of minutes, and I'm anxiously watching this spare time I had. I take out from there when I hear that kind of subside. And it's raining so hard I can't even see the road, so I'm worried about am I going to have to pull off again and let this go. This felt like Houston. I grew up in Houston. I'm used to torrential and gutter cleansing rains, and that's what this was. But the worst of it was because it was raining so hard I couldn't tell that there was actually water accumulating on the interstates, and I was slowing down. But I finally get to Arlington, it lets up, and I thought, okay, I'm fine. I'm looking at the clock in the car. I'm doing really great. So I get off Interstate 35 at the morning side, and I'm hanging a right to get to the church. And as I get up that crazy little loopy-loop thing you got to do, I see this police officer do a turnaround in the car. I said, he goes speeding past me. And, oh my God, what's that all about? Relieved that he wasn't coming after me. So by the time I look up, I realized that a freight train has just decided to go along that. I can see the water burner in the background, but I'm 4 blocks from the church, and I'm the first car up, and before I can U-turn, I'm blocked. Cars behind me, and I'm there for the duration. So I'm watching this unimaginably long train take this interminable journey across this thing, and I'm thinking, this is not good. I'm 4 blocks from church, and I may not be on time. As the time creeps and creeps and creeps, I get a phone call from my wife. Someone very dear to us has been found dead this morning. And I get that news while I'm in the car. And so I had begged the first gathering to be patient with me, especially if I stop occasionally to take a deep breath, which I'll explain in a moment. But also, I needed to process what I had just heard to some extent, and they allowed me to do that, and I'm still doing that. So I stayed up here the whole time. I think I'm okay to walk now. I'll walk with this thing. I'll tell you why this hit pretty hard, and it also is a decent lead into what I wanted to share with you this morning. The person who died lives across the street from me, down about 4 houses, in the back garage apartment of his home. And I had seen her before I knew her. I had seen her walk up and down my street. And my wife was, my wife wants to know everybody. She knew her. And she was, at this point, a professional dog walker, I guess, because I would see her out there walking 5 or 6 dogs and carrying bags of muffins, homemade muffins that she would make, that my wife bought overpriced muffins that stuck in my throat. And I had dismissed this person as just a knucklehead, and I would go on about my business, right? I didn't invite her into my life. And in fact, it was time for me to walk my dog, and she was out there walking her dogs. I went back in, and I wanted nothing to do with this, I thought. Well, to jump ahead a little bit, to come to find out that this sweet, chubby, miniature garden gnome, which is what she appeared to be with her blonde hair and her blue eyes, and this Mary Poppins walk she had with these dogs, was a professional caretaker. But she was having a hard time finding employment because she was a kidney transplant survivor, a 2-time cancer survivor. Still young at the time, 47, 48, trying her best to supplement her disability income or whatever that was, and doing it by any way she could. But my wife comes home to me one day. My mother-in-law lives with us. She's 98, soon to be 99 in June. She refuses to die. I'm trying to kill her with Bluebell ice cream pie. She's thriving, right? And so we've had in-house care, and my wife comes home a couple of years ago, and she says, "Guess what, honey? So-and-so can't do this anymore for us." And so I've asked Kelly to do it. Kelly, you've got to be kidding. No, she's a professional. She knows how to do this. And she's been doing it herself. Her strength is back. When she was wearing that crazy blonde wig before, because the second round of chemo had destroyed her looks, and that was a wig, and now her hair's back, and she's feeling stronger. She's ready to go to work, and she's been over here a couple times for lunch when you're not here. She loves my mother in a way that I can't, and in a way that you haven't, and I want her in here to help take care of my mom so I can continue to work as an occupational therapist, etc. So, in that journey, which is the lead into what I wanted to share to you, I realized what a completely schmuckled idiot I was to dismiss this person out of hand based on how I thought she was rather than who she really was. I had no idea that she could be an actual guardian angel to my family. And I found out early on, like some of the people that come into our churches, that she was from the Assemblies of God. But she didn't like it, but that's what she had grown up with. And when she found out I was a Unitarian minister, we would have occasionally some long theological discussions about the nature of our journey as a progressive liberal tradition and what she had come from. And as often can happen with some, she was so intrigued and so thankful to even hear that there were people like us in the world that she ended up joining our church, joining the choir, saving my wife's career, and as I said, being this frisky, happy, effervescent, in love with life, garden gnome that was sitting at my kitchen table most days. So she was found between the time I left and I got stopped by that train. She was found dead on the floor of her apartment because 2 months ago her cancer came back. And it was so far this time that the doctor said, "Sorry, we're going to give you the morphine and the other stuff, and you need to go to hospice and prepare. Or we can do surgery and do all this other stuff." And she said, "No, thanks." So 2 months ago, she had to quit taking care of my mother-in-law. My wife had to retire from her work to take care of Miss Betty, as Kelly called my mother-in-law. And the church went to create this support team for her. So I'm not going to get a nap this afternoon.
the church at home that I serve is in chaos because of her infectious membership in our church that we almost missed because I was such a knucklehead. But I tell you this to tell you what I really came here to say. It's this beautiful, typed out, single-spaced, 8-page sermon. It's of no value to me now whatsoever. But I appreciate your indulgence this morning. But what I came to say, and I'll do a condensed version of it, is that these journeys that we take in this faith are highly personal. And each one of them is unique. And in my church at home, the Oak Cliff Church, I've come to realize that half the membership today was not there 2 years ago. Partly because this is a dying trade. I'm burying people in our congregation. But also some move for work, be with their grandkids, and all that stuff that us older generation does to maintain our lives and our family and our connection to them. But also the church is growing, pretty much like yours is. I remember when you were the storefront, and now this 200-something member robust and important church is growing in leaps and bounds. And so once a year, at least, I go back and describe for the congregation the DNA, the religious DNA upon which we build. Because a lot of them don't know if they're dragging some half-dead previous, especially Judeo-Christian tradition into our church that they're trying to reconcile. They have no idea what Unitarianism means, or Universalism means, but as often happens, and I hear this when we're doing our Signs of Book moment, where they become members, how often the confession is, this was the third shopping I did, or this was the 9th church I tried. And if I hadn't found these people, I was going to searching to spend the rest of my life without a community. Because I was so frustrated in finding somebody who would let me tell my story, to reconcile my journey, and just breathe, and have a moment to try to reassess what I believe and don't believe, and how I can save my spiritual life, and maybe the life of my family. So it's important for us to know that although our journeys are unique, we build them on religious traditions that are centuries old. And so I share with our new members of my congregation, but especially towards the new members, that the traditions of Unitarianism and Universalism are there for a reason. That in the Unitarian tradition, well, of course I always tell the joke about, Unitarians believe that we're so great that whatever God is could not possibly condemn us to hell. And the Universalists believe that God's too great to do that, right? That's the joke about who we were, and to some extent who we are. But it is more important than that. It is deeper than that. For me personally, dragging the half-dead carcass of the previous Roman Catholic tradition into this journey, and like most of you thinking, oh, thank God I found these people that know how to think and calculate and discern the difference between magic and thinking and mysticism, the difference between garbage and something that can really be of value in a religious journey. I'm so glad I found you, but how do I reconcile who I was with who I want to be? And the Unitarian side of this did it for me in this very real way. I was a proponent of the Jesus story. I love the Jesus story. But even at age 7, I knew that he's not God. Come on. Stop it. That can't be right. I'm 7 and I know this. Don't tell me that. But in the Unitarian tradition, what was written in all the documents I found was, we choose Jesus as our prophet because he taught us how to live a perfectly human life. Perfectly human life. Oh, praise the Lord. I'm in. I'm in. What do we say in both traditions? We believe in the perfectibility of humankind. Why do we say that? Because in the other traditions, we've got original sin. We're the mark of Cain. We're worse, we're Calvinists, right? We're actually evil. And you're going to have to do some sort of redemptive cleansing to get into heaven if you can, but maybe you're just predestined to be one of the people that are left behind. Oh, man, what a choice. But if you get hooked on the story, and I got to confess to you, I don't even know anymore if Jesus was real. I don't care. It's like Robin Hood. It's like, the Lone Ranger. I'm in. I love this. I want to be one of the big guys. Show me how to live a perfectly human life. And in the Unitarian tradition, the stories we told was, well, of course, Jesus said it 9 times. He had an opportunity to say, what I have joined together, let no one put asunder. I render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to me what is mine. Never did that. He always said, there's something else at work, and it ain't me. He always said that. And that's so amazing to share with these people that are coming from these broken Christian or Judeo-Christian traditions and say, we're okay with the story, but we're on this side of that. And those of you that want to come in and think that whatever God is, it requires the humiliation, torture, and death of His only begotten Son to open the gates of heaven to the world that God created. Stop it. That hurts. But last night at the conference, some of us were talking about how in this new tradition that we're built in the 21st century, after the merger, this thing that is now embracing an omni-religious journey where Buddhism's in and paganism bring it and agnosticism and you can describe yourself any way you want to. It's all good. We're just going to hold hands and promise to behave well together. Come on in. Building on that, we're not leading with the thing that is in our tradition that is the most hopeful to the people that are banging on our door. It's universal salvation. Universal salvation. That's a part of our DNA. That life is redeemed when life begins. There's no extraordinary cleansing we have to do to atone for the fact that we were born and created human. That would be like, what's the Old Testament story? God created the universe, the stars, the air, and the water, and then created us in His or her, in its image, and stood back and said, it's good. Oh, shit, humans, damn, what was I thinking? Can I have a do-over? No, it is good. We are good. Our religion is based on the fact that we are intrinsically a part of an intentional creation. We don't know the origins of it. Agnosticism may have been the only honest entry into a robust religious life, and we do that. But you don't have to come here carrying a mark of Cain. You're saved. Whatever happens in death is going to happen, and you're a part of that, and we're safe together. The idea is not to create some heaven beyond that we can get to, but to create something that feels like heaven here. This is the covenant of our faith. This is why we gather. My concern is that sometimes we do to the people knocking on the door wanting to come in what I did to Kelly. I'm prejudging. God, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to hear anybody else tell me how much, that God lifted up their car and moved it out of the way when the train was coming. I don't want to hear that. But yet, these are my fellow humans. They're looking for what I was looking for, and I'm charged to be an instrument of peace and protection to them. And isn't that our charge too? Truly. I like to think of what we're doing not as a theological jukebox, but as a smorgasbord. When we do our potlucks, and we're known for our good coffee and potlucks, right? We're known for that. So when we do a potluck like that, I'm always tickled. It's like a Betty Crocker cook-off, right? We've got gluten-free, we've got vegan. I don't understand vegan. That's another story. Are there kids ready? We start with animal products, right? Our mothers nurse us, right? Well, we can't. Anyway, so we do this smorgasbord, and you don't have to like everything. I abhor tabbouleh. But it is every potluck we have has different flavors of tabbouleh. Where's the fried chicken? Tamales, give me something. But if I eat one more tuna casserole, I will just. So we create this smorgasbord. We don't have to like it. We don't have to eat it all. But we want to make sure that everybody that comes gets fed. And that's the miracle of our potlucks. No matter how much is there, nobody goes away hungry. Except me. Because I don't even begin to eat because if I did, did you try my 5 bean salad? No, I missed that. I'll look at you some. No. So no, I don't eat, but the rest of the congregation, they get fed. And that's my job as a minister. But isn't that our job too, as the leadership of your church, or any of our churches, is to make sure that the person that's knocking on the door, if they're willing to be in covenant with us, can we try to make sure that they have a safe place to breathe and reconsider their life and put it back together again in safety with us? Oh, okay. I'm ministering with no block on the wall. It's a dangerous animal, but we're getting close. So I had a couple of things that I wanted just to make sure that I touched on. Oh, yeah, I started off with just this, and it was how we tend to believe that the world we're born into is the world that's ever always been. Right? I mean, it's hard for us even to imagine there was a time when women couldn't vote, didn't have sovereignty over their bodies. Although anybody born before 1974 knows there was a time when that didn't happen. When I was younger, I used to think that there was no slavery in the world anymore until I learned about South Africa and apartheid. And I thought we didn't lynch people anymore. But my father got a Buick agency in 1974 on Galveston Island. So we moved from Houston down there to help him start the business, start his version of the business because he'd been there before. And when we were going, I remember the real estate agent showing me beach houses. Now, I would love to be able to afford a beach house now, but I can't. But back then, that was all I could afford in Galveston as a young married guy with a young child. And so they took me out to the end of the island where Jamaica Beach and Pirates Beach and all these places were, houses I could afford. And he couldn't resist showing me where the hanging tree was. Still. The world really hasn't changed as much as we like to think it is. And the work we do as a progressive religious community is more vital today than it has ever been. And we need to let everybody come in that wants to partner with us. I had an extraordinary experience at the beginning of this month. I had an opportunity to join our social justice ministry, the UU Texas Social Justice Ministry, in Austin for 3 days of intense media training with the Texas Freedom Network and Catholics for Choice around how to change the conversation of women's reproductive justice in this state based on not just ethical terms, which we're really good at, but in moral terms. That freedom of religion requires that we honor the fact that in the Jewish tradition, the Unitarian tradition, and others, women are allowed to have sovereignty over their own body. To declare that component and to change the conversation. We need as many allies as we can get if we're going to create heaven here now for us. If we're going to create the beloved community that we advertise we want, that we talk about that we want, that we sing that we want, we got to be able to do not what I did to Kelly, but what we need to do and have done for each other, at least in the past. And that is stay in relationship long enough to find that extraordinary, singular, unique gift that next person is bringing to this church. And allow ourselves to be changed by their wisdom, by their prayer, by their song, by their food. May we all live happily ever after. Here comes the last part of my skullduggery. Would you please stand in body and in spirit and join us as we sing our closing hymn, this number 168, One More Step.